everybody, and welcome to Your Spiritual Best Friend on Spotify or wherever you guys are listening to the podcast. I am the host, Josh Sanchez, and the purpose of Your Spiritual Best Friend is to connect spirituality, mental health, and astrology all in one, because it's important for everyone to realize that we are all on our own spiritual journey at the end of the day. So the more we open up, the more we are able to connect with each other and grow as a collective society. So sit back and relax and enjoy Your Spiritual Best Friend. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. On today's episode, I got a chance to interview special guest Charles Hall. Charles is a spiritual healer and business owner. Me and Charles, we connected at the Brandywine Arts Festival in Delaware, and I'm currently wearing one of his crystal necklaces that he has created for everyone. And me and Charles, we sit down and we talk a lot about his journey from discovering his love for crystals and finding his own spirituality to even running and starting his own business. His business is on Instagram titled Creations by the Creator, and you can check out all of Charles' work by clicking in the links in the show description. But me and Charles, we also discuss relationships, and we also discuss astrology as well, as Charles is a Libra with a Gemini moon. So we get into that and we have a lot of fun when it comes to that. But again, check out all of Charles's work. And if you guys are interested in getting your own crystal necklace or a bracelet or anything like that, check out everything by clicking in the links in the show description. Like always, guys, please like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you guys are listening to the podcast. Your ratings will help boost the podcast overall. But without further ado, here is my conversation with Charles. All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Your Spiritual Best Friend. I am your host, Josh Sanchez, and I'm here with a very special guest, Charles Hall. Charles, what's going on and how are you doing today?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me. This is actually my second time doing a podcast, so still new, but, just enjoying the ride.
Of course. And Charles, I want to say thank you for wanting to come on a podcast and being so comfortable with sharing your story and stuff, because the way how we connected, I went to the Brandywine Arts Festival in Delaware, and it was great. And I saw all of these amazing crystals, and I was like, man, like I ended up buying me one. I have one here. If you see on Instagram Live, I have one of Charles's creations. But my first question, just really starting off the podcast, like what really led you to starting your own business into like the crystals and all that stuff?
So I've always had I would say, religious background. But I didn't feel whole, when you should feel holy. So even when I wasn't going to church, I grew up in a Christian background. I went to Catholic school, but went to a Baptist church on Sundays with my great grandmothers. And I was constantly asking questions. And growing up in the quote unquote Black community, a lot of times we're told not to ask questions. Don't question God. Just go with it. And something just didn't feel right. So as I got older, I got back into the church, and around the time of like the Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner situations, I went to a rally, and after the rally, this was like around the time, I think a Dover cop had kicked a guy or something. It was extreme. And, after the rally, I just was like, okay, what next? Like it was always a question of what next. And that kind of spearheaded me down my own spiritual journey of just kind of reading more, wanting to gain more knowledge about my people and what we've been through and so on and so forth. So that introduced me to crystals. With, again, having a Christian background, it was, crystals are voodoo and negative and all this, negative connotation, sage. But then I sat back and I started realizing like the jewels that the pastor will wear or the preachers or seeing the priest walk down the aisle with the urn, and you see smoke coming out, and I'm just like, well, he's just cleansing the space. You know what I mean? So all this stuff just like that I was told was bad. In retrospect, I'm like, it's all the same. Like, we're all pulling, no matter what your religious beliefs are, we're all pulling from your spirituality, which is already innately within you. So to answer your question, it kind of just took me down my own path. I've always been an artist, as far back as I can remember, even when I used to get in trouble for it. So just wanting to create my own pieces, and that's just really how it started. And you know, a couple of people would see me with something on, or see the missus with something on, and would ask me or her, like, hey, who made that? And so on and so forth. And it just started off as a hobby, something for myself. And next thing I know, like, I'm traveling and doing events and stuff. So it's wild, man. It's dope.
Wow, I will say, first off, really spot on answer. I really heard there's a lot of parts that you mentioned in your answer. Like, first you mentioned how, like, because I can relate to you too in a way where I grew up in a very strict Catholic household. Yeah. So it was like questioning stuff was definitely like a no-go. Like, you shouldn't question what we're believing in and stuff. But that's what really led me to this podcast and really led me into astrology. It's crazy how, like, things, I can definitely feel a lot of similarities in our journeys. You're more into crystals. I'm more into like the astrology aspect. But like you mentioned how like your religion growing up and stuff, it didn't make you feel whole. Yeah. Whole was like a word that I really just like I visualized right away. So now that you're into crystals and stuff, how does that like feeling of wholeness feel for you? If you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. It allows me to just be. Where before, again, no matter what your religious ideology beliefs are, a lot of it was, you can't do this, you got to do that. You know, it was so many strict rules, like you said, very strict. Whether you're in the Nation of Islam, you're Muslim, or, you know, a Catholic background, Christian background, whatever. Like, it was a lot of rules and regulations, and don't do this, do that. If you don't do this, this happens, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of, I hope I don't ruffle any feathers, a lot of fear tactics. And for me, I can't live my life like that. I never live my life like that. You know, I've always been a beat to my own drum type of person. So my thought process in everything is do what feels best for you. As long as you're not hurting anyone, especially consciously. But if you're living your life to your fullest and your happiness and so on and so forth, do you. Like, that's just my whole thought process. Do you, man. Enjoy your life. We only got one go round on this rock that we know of. And once I really made peace with that, going back to that wholeness, man, bro, I've been good. Even in the midst of chaos, like, I'm still good overall.
That's good to see, you know, and I can tell just from feeling like your energy having this conversation, like you feel whole, you know, you feel at peace, you feel more connected towards yourself. And I think that's what's important with, I like the term spirituality, because it's everyone's version of spirituality is different for them, which makes it great. Yeah. But just continuing a little bit, I know we talked a lot about like what's making you feel whole and a little bit of your journey, what got you into like crystals and all that stuff. And it's great to see. Tell me a little bit about the process of running your own business. I know you mentioned how it started as a hobby. Yeah. How has things changed for you now that that hobby is now turned into more of a serious business, if you get what I'm saying?
Oh man, that process has been different in this age of social media, and everybody, again, like we were talking before we hit record, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur now. But allowed to curse?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. This shit is not easy. Like, the event you saw me at, bro, it was beautiful Saturday. It rained all day Sunday, and I'm outside. I was at an event this weekend in Townsend, Delaware called Weedstock. It was raining all day Saturday. Sunday, raining all day Friday. Saturday, it didn't rain, but it was cloudy all day. So that scared a lot of people away. And it's a great event, both events. Now you're talking about thousands, possibly thousands of people. But when the weather is bad, nobody wants to come outside. So I had put up a post when I was at the Brandywine event, like, are you really sure you want to do this entrepreneur thing? Like, you know, we talk bad about the people with the regular 9-to-5s, but the regular 9-to-5s are what keep this country going. Like, without the 9-to-5 person, there's no business because there's nobody to pour into your business, nobody to pay for your stuff. So let's stop knocking the 9-to-5s. Use your 9-to-5 to fuel your business. That's what I personally do. So that journey of taking it from a hobby to a business has really been insightful. I credit my grandmother. She was an entrepreneur. She had her own properties in Chester. Two of my closest friends, three actually, I want to give a huge shout out to them. My man Jermaine, who runs Full Circle. It's a martial arts / after school program off of by Old Navy off of 273. My right hand man Andre, who has been a pivotal part in my life in regards to entrepreneurship. He owns a business, a small engine business, 80 small engines down by Gander Hill Prison. And my other homie, G, he owns G-Spot Tattoos. All three of them, and my my grandmother, have been like instrumental in showing me different things just through them doing it. Like, not necessarily talking to me about it, but just me watching them. And it's been a good journey. Definitely some learning blocks, some learning curves. Like, you know, you just when you think you have some things figured out, you realize, oh no, I still got some stuff to work on. And you know, I tell everybody it's a growing process. Like it really is, because I'm still learning so much. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't like the business side of things. Like, I'm not that guy. Like I am a free spirit, just want to create kind of dude. And the whole business side of things, that's the sucky part of it. But you know, it is what it is. You got to figure it out. Or if you can't figure it out, you better pay somebody to help you figure it out. So, you know, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, of course. Like, it really is a journey running a business and stuff. And just my next question, just building off of your last answer, like, what is some advice that you would give to somebody that is just starting their own business? Like, what's some, because I know you've seen your grandmother, you've seen your close homies, like you've seen everybody like go through the ups and downs of that. What's some advice that you would give to someone that has not like been around that, you know, and has not really experienced that?
Consistency and discipline. Honestly, consistency and discipline. Staying consistent on your goals, no matter if they're short-term, long-term, and discipline. Doing it when you don't want to do it. Finding whatever it is that your why. Like, why are you doing this? You know, what is your purpose? Like, find that. And if once you say you have a why and you reach a goal, make a new goal. Give yourself something to get you going all the time. There are times where creatively I might not be in it. You know what I mean? So what I try to do from a creative aspect is do something quote unquote easy, making an easy piece to get my juices flowing. You know what I mean? Or I like to listen to motivational stuff on a regular basis. The Les Browns of the world, Steve Harvey, and E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher, and you know what I mean, whatever, like to get you going. Listening to music that gets me going, things of that nature. So bringing it back to the answer, like find out your why, stay disciplined, stay consistent. I think a lot of that comes from having a sports background. You know, everything is calculated. You know what I mean? I've been playing sports since I was as far as back as I can remember, but like, you know, on teams and stuff like that. I started playing baseball when I was like 7, you know, being to practice on time and, you know, running these plays and drills and so on and so forth. So like, if you're not consistent and disciplined, you're not going to get better. I don't care how talented you are. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not going to hone in on that, work on your skills and so on and so forth, nobody's going to recognize it.
Yeah, consistency, that's the word that I really take away from that last answer. Like being consistent, finding your why. These are two important things to really look for if you're starting any business, anything in life. Yeah. Like that formula can translate literally to everything. If you go to school, you got to show up to class all the time.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, that's important. A really spot on answer, and I really appreciate that a lot. But just transition a little bit. I know we talked a lot about more of the business aspect, and you gave a really good, like just really spot on answer, very intuitive with the process and everything you've experienced. Yeah. When it comes to crystals, what are some of your go-to crystals? So let's say someone is just learning and trying to getting into like the crystal aspects and stuff. What are some basic stones that you recommend for them to just check out and stuff?
So crystal world is very vast. It's a lot, bro. Oh man, it's a lot. like it's funny. People will come to me, do you have such and such? And I'm like, I've never even heard of that. And you know where I will go and look it up. And I always tell people I don't know everything. I call myself what I've heard others say, a master student. So I'm always learning, but I pour into people also. So, great, quote unquote, beginner crystals. Clear quartz is great. It's an amplifier. They call it the master healer. Amethyst is great. Amethyst helps with the mind. You know what I mean? Insomnia, depression, anxiety. It's a great calming crystal. Tiger's eye, which a lot of people are familiar with. Great protection crystal. Hematites, obsidian. Those are both great grounding crystals. You see people with the bracelets, they'll have the hematite, obsidian, and tiger's eye. Like that's a great protection set. What else? I'm trying to think of more common ones that you don't have to go super digging for. Rose quartz deals with the heart. So a lot of times if you come to my table, you'll see my table is color coordinated. And it's basically working from your root chakra all the way up to your crown chakra. So I try to help people in that sense. I also not tell, but suggest to people when they go anywhere to look for crystals, if they have no clue what they're looking for or really have a quote unquote reason, because that's the two ways I go about helping people. When they come to my table, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just learning, so on and so forth. I ask them two questions. First question I usually ask them is, are you working on something? Is there a reason why you're looking for a crystal? So they might, trying to start a new business. So then I'll guide them towards maybe a labradorite or a moonstone. Or, I got haters, So, okay, we're going to deal with something blocking negativity, things of that nature. Or, I'm trying to make some more money. All right, so we're going to deal with like a pyrite, dealing with prosperity, maybe opals, dealing with luck and prosperity, things of that nature. So I'll ask that question. So then if they like, nah, I ain't really working on nothing, I just want something, go what you're physically attracted to. Like a lot of times you'll come to the table or you'll go to the store and you'll be like, ooh, that's dope. Like, I like that right there. Mm-hmm. And then you might walk around a little bit, but your mind keeps going back over to that. You know what I mean? So go with your gut instinct. That's what you're attracted to. So that energy is connecting with you. Mm-hmm. Crystals are frozen energy. You know what I mean? Just like ice is frozen water. So that's how I look at it. I heard somebody describe it like that and I can't forget it. And I love the way they put it. It's, because energy never goes away. It's a constant flow. So, that's what a crystal is. Crystals have energy, whether we want to believe it or not. I don't care what people say. Like, bro, everything has energy and it's from the earth. Like, it's nothing more natural than that. So,
yeah, that was a really spot on answer. First, I want to say, just because like I completely agree. Crystals, everything that's natural in this earth, has energy.
Yes. Yeah.
So I completely agree. And I really like your insight because it really depends on what the person, because everybody, we're all different.
Yes.
So like everyone's going to present different like scenarios.
Yeah.
So like I like how you recommended each specific crystal depending on like what situation you're going through. And I really appreciate that as well. You made a really good point about how I really like that towards the end where you mentioned like how like things that naturally are in the earth, have energy. For you, I've heard like this like statement, especially with crystals, like you feel that energy and it'll call to you.
Yeah.
Is that something that you also recommend to people too? Like the crystal will call to you as well?
Yes. Going back to what you're physically attracted to me, that's calling you. Like it drew you over there or wherever, you're at. So it's not going to be some voice in your, I think when people hear call you, they think something that says, bring your ass over here. Nah, man, it's just like you walking, you looking at my table or a store or whatever the case may be. But for whatever reason, your eye gets drawn to this particular crystal or, this one has something on the piece of paper that describes the metaphysical properties, the energies dealing with it. And it's like, yo, this sounds like something I might need. So, in that sense, your spirit, again, going back to that, is calling you to it, or it's calling you, or you're calling it, however you want to look at it. But that's how it is. Like, and I tell people all the time, like, I was in Baltimore at a tattoo convention, and this lady came to my table, and she kept saying how she doesn't wear, I can't remember if it was silver or copper. Either way, the crystal that she was drawn to was of the metal that she normally doesn't wear. So she kept looking, as you see at my table, I got a lot to look at. So I'm like, yo, just take your time. Like, there's plenty to look at. So she's looking, and she kept coming back to it. She was like, it was silver. She was like, I don't even wear silver, but I just can't put this down. I said, it's speaking to you. Mm-hmm. Or I'll have people come to the table and see something and they be like, I like this. It's calling me. And then they'll leave and then they'll come back. Hey, is that still here? It might be, might not be. But again, like I don't use that as a selling point. I tell people all the time, I'm not telling you to buy this. Like, yeah, it's great if you do, but if you are drawn to that and you have the financial means, telling you rock with it. That energy is speaking to you for a reason. And, I always suggest to people to, do your own homework on it. We can look it up right then and there. Google is our best friend. Got a smartphone. Don't be a dummy with a smartphone. It's a computer in your pocket. But yeah, look it up. Like we can look it up together. Like I'm always open to learn new things, and people always, well, how do you know all this? Because I look it up. Like just like you can. Like the phone is right here. Like if you have I think Apple has an app now where you can download something to take pictures of crystals. And like you can take a picture of it and it should be able to tell you what crystal it is. And then you can go from there and dig up more information on it. I know Google for Android, like on the bar, it's a picture of a camera. You can click on that, take a picture of the crystal, and it will give you as spot on as possible the kind of crystal it is. So it's pretty accurate. Both of them, from what I understand, are pretty accurate. I know the one for the Android with Google is really good. So.
Hey everyone. This episode is brought to you by Podcash as a collaboration between Racket and Stir. Podcash gave away over $100,000 to up-and-coming podcasters as a way to support insanely creative, and inspiring podcasters. We know how difficult it can be to get a podcast off the ground and running, but with Podcash, it's a great way to get cash, and best of all, it's all free for your podcast. So if podcasting has been on your to-do list, or you're already a podcaster, go to podcash.com to stay up to date with future Podcash happenings. That's again, podcash.com, podcash.com. I hope to see your future podcast. Energy, it's like the energy exchange between the crystal and ourselves. It's kind of hard to describe, but you described it very perfectly. But just transitioning a little bit, I know we talked a lot about like crystals and obviously like the business side of things and your journey, and I've really appreciated everything so far. Relationships play a big part in all of our lives, whether that's with friendships, family, loved ones. My first question, because I know you mentioned a lot about like your family and also like your close friends. What are some qualities that you really look for in a friendship or even like a romantic partner?
Man. So in all of that with my wife, friends, and what's crazy is if you're a friend, I don't consider you a friend. I consider you family. Like I draw a very strict, hard line. Like I either fuck with you or I don't fuck with you. Like there really is no middle ground for me. Mm-hmm. And that's hard sometimes because like once I've drawn that line of I don't rock with you, like it's very few times that I've come back from that because I will do anything for anybody. Like I will literally give you the shirt off my back. Like, so for me, like I'm huge on giving. Like I love people, bro. I really love people. And as long as you don't even have to show me the same love back, just don't cross me. That's all. That's where I stand. Like you don't have to be as quote unquote happy go lucky as I am. I get that. That's just my personality. Like I'm good with that. Like I'm the smile all the time, glass half full kind of dude. Like that's just who I am. I know everyone is not like that. But at the same time, just don't fuck me. Please. That's no other way to put it because I do rock with you. Like I really don't have any reason not to until you give me one. So when it comes to my friends, my family, my lady, like just don't do me dirty and we good. Like I get it. Some things subconsciously you can't help it. You're not doing it on purpose. I don't hold that against people. It's the stuff that I know you are doing consciously that I have a problem with. Like where you can't explain why you did what you did to me type time. You know what I mean? And when that happens, like you don't have to worry about me talking to you ever again. I'm straight. Like my life will keep on going. Like seriously, my life will keep on going. Like the Most High has blessed me and will continue to bless me because I continue to bless others. Like again, going back to that energy, whether we want to call it karma or whatever it is, terminology you want to use, like if I know I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I know everything's going to be all right. You know what I mean? So back to that, like with my people, like just, I got y'all. Y'all got me, I got y'all. Like that's just, it is what it is. And you know what I mean? Like anybody that has ever been in my life, they know that even on my worst day, I still will give you all that I have at that time. And just as long as we good, we good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. And that was a really good question, just really good answer, just because like it really is like, you surround yourself with these people, you give to them as long as they respect you, they're not consciously like trying to manipulate you or take advantage of you, then everything is good. Now, has there been situations where that has happened for you in the past? Like how would you really handle it if it were to happen?
So it has. I mean, we've all been done dirty. And I'm pretty sure I've hurt plenty of people and may not have known it. You know what I mean? So I'm no saint or, you know what I mean, whatever the case may be. But for those that have crossed me, and I know it wasn't for a valid reason, like it wasn't like, what was the purpose? Now I'll be 40. Bro, I will be 40 on Friday. On October 7th, I will be fucking 40. It's wild. So at 40-year-old Charles, I have learned to just keep it pushing. If you would have asked even 30-year-old Chuck, and I tell people there is that, again, that's that line. There is Charles, there is Chuck. Now that, you know, being older and having a family and things of that nature, I do have to be aware of things that I do and say and things of that nature. So I'll just, once someone has crossed me, it's, you know, we adults, we work. It's happened at work, usually with leadership, if that's what you want to call it, where I can look at you and look through you. Like, I don't have to speak to you. I don't have to talk to you. Like, you know what I mean? I'm a stern believer in you treat the janitor the same way you treat the CEO. You know what I mean? We are people and we should respect that, and we should treat people accordingly. We should treat people with love and respect. There's no reason for you to go out of your way to hurt people. So when that does happen, you know, older me is like, all right, cool. You got that. You got that one. But don't worry about coming to me ever again. Like, for anything, I don't care. And I will let you know when you come to me, I'm good. Like, I'm seriously, I'm good. Like, you know, especially in the work environment, with all due respect, I will let you know, no. You know what I mean? Like, on the street, you know, we'll handle things accordingly on the street. But, you know, thankfully, you know what I mean, nothing crazy has happened in a very long time to, you know, do anything out of quote unquote character. I always tell people it's not out of your character. That's just who you are. It just, somebody pulled it out of you. You know what I mean? It's your character.
But yeah, I mean, it just goes back to a little bit like relationships are meant to teach you some things, you know, and you learn some new things about yourself along the way. Absolutely. And there's going to be people that are going to push those buttons. Yes. That's just part of life. But I will say I've really appreciated everything we talked about so far. My last question, just wrapping up our relationship topic, because I know you mentioned like you talked to like, you know, like your younger self and stuff. What's some advice that you would give to somebody that is like looking for relationships or might have some like problems in a relationship, whether that's with friends, family? Like, what's some advice that you would give to them?
Healthy communication. Not just communication. Stress the healthy part. And the reason I stress the healthy part is because with communication, y'all both could be talking and neither one of you are comprehending what the other one is saying. I'm just hearing you long enough to respond, but I'm not listening to you. And I view hearing as words going in and going out. I see listening as the words coming in. I'm computing what you're saying. And then, you know, we can discuss it from there. Like, I'm actually receiving what you're saying. Now, it's from my perspective, but I'm still receiving what you're saying. Like, I'm taking a second to really think about what you're saying. And I really would stress that to people in general. Healthy communication is so important. And for the quote unquote Black and brown community, go get therapy. Whether it's a life coach or a real therapist, find somebody that looks like you, that possibly has a similar background, so that way you feel a little more relatable. But go get therapy, because getting help is like a drone, somebody controlling a drone over top of you to help you through your life farce. You know what I mean? Like, You know, a lot of times we think it's somebody trying to control us. No, it's not trying to control you. It's trying to give you skills to help you in your world. Like they have a bird's eye view based off of the information that you've given them. So you got to be brutally honest with them and yourself. But going back to your question, that's what I would tell younger people. Like, it is okay to get help. And by getting the help, that will then help you with healthy communication. Now you can articulate or express yourself to those in your circle in a healthy way so they understand where you're coming from, or at least can empathize where you're coming from. They might not know where you understand it because they're not you, but if they can empathize and be like, okay, I hear where you're coming from. Like, I get it. Like, all right, so let's see how, you know, we can do better, or whatever the case may be, whatever's bothering you or whatever you need to work on. But healthy communication is very important, and fucking therapy is important.
Amen. Those two things are very important. And that's something that I've done. I recommend for everybody going to therapy. I like how you visualize it. It's like a drone that's like, it's over top of you. As long as you're honest with yourself, it'll help guide you throughout your own journey that you're on. Because I'm actually studying a lot about the mental health and psychology aspect of everything too. And that's what I've been hearing as well. So that's some really good stuff. You might have some good psychology background, you know, you could be a little bit of a coach yourself. But man, Charles, I really appreciated everything we've talked about so far, relationships, your journey, your honesty. I appreciate that as well, because the more honest we are with ourselves and we have conversations like these, you know, the people listening, they learn some new things about it. So which is great to hear. But just transitioning a little bit, I know towards the end of our podcast, I always like to add a little astrology element to it.
Okay.
My first question, just starting off the whole astrology topic, how do you feel about it overall? What's your overall relationship with astrology?
I'm learning more. I do understand that we do have a lot of character traits based on when, where, what time we were born, things of that nature. But I don't like to be a prisoner to that. Mm-hmm. You know, it's something that we had talked about before. I see it a lot, especially in the quote unquote spiritual conscious community. You know, it's the whole Mercury's in retrograde and the moon is doing this and the stars doing that and this and this. And I get it. It may have an effect on you, but you don't have to be a prisoner to that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just because you're feeling, you know, down or angry or sad or whatever the case may be, you don't always have to act on it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you can still function in a proper way. Like, we have to stop being controlled by these labels. Mm-hmm. Going back to the astrology thing, it's dope. Like, I'm a Libra. I do recognize that there are certain things that I like or do or understand or whatever the terminology may be, but I don't have to be a prisoner to that, because I still want to learn. I still want to grow. I still want to, if you have a particular character trait that I deem as quality for me to help me grow as a person, I want to work on that. Mm-hmm. Like, I might see something in you that may be negative, or, you know, I perceive it as negative. And I'm like, well, damn, I'm probably recognizing that in them because that's something that I need to be working on. So let me in turn work on it. So, you know what, based off of when I was born, I got to say, oh, that's just me. That's a crock of shit. Like, seriously, I don't like when people say, well, that's just me. Well, that really means to me that you're stagnant. That really means to me that you're not trying to do better. That really means to me that you are stuck in this mind frame that that's just me and that's who I am and I'm not going to work on me. So that means mentally you're dead. Like, if you're not trying to improve and work on you and get better, like, you are mentally dead. You literally are the walking dead. You know, I know that's a big show. Never watched it before, but I understand the concept. You know what I mean? And is that really you? Is that what you're really trying to be? So you 25 years old and you might not physically die until you're 80. So that means for these last some odd years, you just been doing nothing with yourself. Like, no, we got to do better. So again, I respect and I appreciate the astrology, and I'm learning more, having conversations with individuals like yourself. And it's so dope because it's just something new to learn. You know what I mean? And in that aspect alone, I respect it and I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, of course. And I always like to say as well, like astrology is just like another tool in the toolbox to help learn some new things about yourself.
Yep.
And that's one of the things, like your chart does not define you and who you are. And I think that's something where when I do chart readings for people, I tell them that too. Like, just because this might be your chart and you might relate to a lot of these things, it doesn't mean that defies you or who you are, because we have the ability to grow, evolve, and change and transform into new people. So I always like to say that, and I think that's a good point, because there's some astrologists where they'll just tell you everything what's going on and that's it. But like, you have the ability to change and grow. And there's certain parts of astrology too, like there's sidereal, there's draconic. Like, as you grow, like parts of your chart change.
Right. Okay.
So like that part of it, I think, is really cool, because it's like a little new piece to learn, and it's like another avenue.
Okay.
But yeah, like I think that's a really good answer, because we're not meant to be stuck. Like we're constantly meant to grow and learn new things. So I completely agree with that. But just starting off the astrology discussion, so you did mention how you're a Libra. You also have a Gemini moon.
Right.
So as I describe to you some like positives, negatives, just let me know how you feel about it.
Okay.
Hey everybody, I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. I just want to give you guys a very special announcement. So starting in the beginning of September, I will be doing astrology chart readings for anybody that is interested in learning a little bit more about themselves and their natal chart. I am not someone that is going to predict the future, but I am someone that is going to give you guidance and really help you process yourself in the present moment, whatever challenges or blocks that you face. But you can click on the link in the show description to schedule a one-on-one meeting with me, where you get your chart read, where it's going to be a very safe space for you guys to open up and share your own journeys, your own anxieties, fears, and I hope that we can both learn something from each other along the way. I do have a confidentiality agreement that everyone must sign and follow, and prices will vary depending on the income in which you guys make. I am someone that is very flexible and knows that we all have certain situations in life that can impact us financially, emotionally, anything pretty much. But it really is just a safe space for everyone to connect, grow, and learn some things about themselves. So again, you can check out that link to schedule a one-on-one call with me, Josh Sanchez, host of Your Spiritual Best Friend, and I hope to see everybody soon and to help you along the way on your own spiritual journey. So it says you're a Libra Sun, Gemini Moon, and it says a flirtatious personality. These people are witty, but distracted, so they find it hard to concentrate sometimes.
Very true.
Positives for your Sun and Moon combination: principled, easygoing, and witty. Negatives: can get distracted and a little bit moody at times.
Yes.
Perfect partner: someone who is as free-spirited as them.
Yes.
And word of advice: they need to be careful, because their flirtatious behaviors can be misinterpreted sometimes.
Fuck yes.
So as I give you your positives, negatives, perfect partner, and advice, what are some thoughts that come to mind as you're laughing?
Yo, that is so spot on, bro. It is so that. Listen, all right, people, that was spot on. That, like, I will get distracted, flirtatious, and what's crazy is I don't realize it. Like, to me, I'm just talking. Like, I'm just me. And then the reception is he was flirting with me. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm don't give a damn. Like, like seriously, like the walking down the street, your hair is beautiful, and I'm still walking. Like I did not lose a stride. You know what I mean? Like I'm good with that. You know what I mean? Like I'm secure in my manhood to look at you as a brother and be like, yo, you have some beautiful eyes, bro. Like, listen, no disrespect to anybody in your sexual orientation, but that's not my lane. So, but I'm secure in my lane to know that I can give a man a compliment and keep it pushing.
Yep.
It got me in trouble in Atlanta. Like, you know, and I was like, yo, your hat is dope. I was like, you know what I mean? And he turned and he looked and he was, thank you. And he gave me an eye. And then my lady looked at me like, shut your ass up. Just come on. I was like, you're right. Let's just go. So being easily distracted, yeah, I admit to that. But I'm good at getting myself back on task. Sometimes it's hard depending on what it is. And be, I don't know if I would use the word moody, but I get into a space as social as I am. There are times where I just want to be left alone. I wasn't sure if that was because I'm the only child, so I'm used to being by myself. But now hearing that, like it does make sense. I call myself the most social, antisocial person. Because as you see, like, you know, when I'm in my element, like I'm meeting people, I'm talking, and I love it. Like, I love it. But like, I will just get in my car and just go by myself. Like, like when I had my motorcycle, my boy would call me like, yo, where you at? And I'm like, riding. It's like, who are you with? By myself. And I'm perfectly fine with that. So yeah, those are really spot on.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, just starting off with astrology, it's always good to look at your sun and moon, because your sun sign is your ego, what you present like in the exterior world, and whereas the moon is the inner world, what's going on with your emotions and in your head. So you have a lot of air energy, and air energy, like you said, like think of it like air is very social. It's everywhere. Air can be stone cold. Air can be super hot. Yeah. So it's like that describes the energy that you really you feel when you connect with people and stuff. So and the thing with air signs is like they love to learn new information, but they do it in like an aloof way.
Yes.
Where earth signs, because I have a lot of earth in my chart, I do it in a very like grounded, stern, practical way. Yeah. Air signs, they do it more of like a less serious way. Like they still learn, but it's like it's not as structured or serious. Like
Avatar.
Yeah. That's a good show to really think.
Listen, so I'm just now entering into this anime world.
Okay.
And I know a lot of hardcore anime fans may not agree that the Avatar is anime.
I would say so.
That's what I would think.
Yeah, but, I would say so.
I'm like,
they just don't like it because it's Nickelodeon.
Maybe so. So that was actually the first time I ever heard the word chakra. And which was, I didn't know about it. Like, so that was cool. But again, going back to the air sign, like I know Aang was, from the air temple and things of that nature. And he just kind of just free flowing. You know what I mean? And then to hear you say you have earth signs, like, and I'm thinking about the earth people, like they were, strong and stern and very, as a matter of fact, you know what I mean? So I can see that, like that, it makes a lot of sense. Like, and I'm assuming that's where they pulled a lot of that ideology from in some form or fashion. But yeah, I see that. That's dope.
Yeah, of course. And obviously I will say, just from like a side topic, watch The Avatar. It's a great show.
Bro,
and we could do a whole podcast just on anime alone. I love anime.
I'm new. My daughter introduced me to Hunter x Hunter.
Okay, that's a mid.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
Yeah, but. And then Naruto.
No, yeah, that's
so I actually have the Sharingan tattooed on my hand. because to me, I appreciate the symbolism of once you awaken your Sharingan, like you see things differently. It's an eye opener. You know what I mean? And I have it tattooed in the all-seeing eye, the eye of Horus, and I have the eye of Ra. And then I have the all-seeing eye from Thundercats, being able to give him sight beyond sight. And that's just like, and I have it as I am and I believe. So like, I realize in a lot of anime, or let me not say a lot because I've only watched 2. Well, 3 if you count Avatar. But there's a lot of messages and a lot of great stories and a lot that you can pull from in regards to real life stuff. And it's just like, I didn't realize it, you know, I didn't know much about anime other than Dragon Ball Z when I was growing up. And I never got into that. But now watching what I have watched, I'm like, it's a lot in it that you can pull and learn from. So yeah, it's dope.
Yeah, definitely. And once we're done recording, I'll send you a list of what I watched and stuff, just because anime, it's dope. And like you said, you learn so much new life. Like you learn so much about life and stuff, especially Naruto too. Naruto is a very good one to get started with. I have a couple tattoos of Naruto on my body too. That I have the Renegon.
Okay. Yeah.
Like that whole arc was tough, but we can get into that another day. But before we wrap up the astrology talk, I just wanted to highlight a couple more things about your chart, and just let me know how you feel about it. Your rising sign is pretty much like, it's the sign that we present to people. It's like first impressions. Okay. So it's like, obviously, like what we say, like first impressions, you meet someone, and then once you get to know them, they might be different than how you perceive them. So your rising's actually in Virgo. So Virgos are very like disciplined. They're into the details, but like they love to know and learn new information. They just do it in a very like structured way. So that might be the energy that you present to people. Because what happens is your rising sign is the first house. It's so like we're all souls experiencing like a physical like experience. So our rising sign is when our soul meets our physical body. And it's usually a different sign than what our sun sign is. So like that's a whole other thing as well. But when it comes to Virgo energy, have you been around a Virgo energy, or like have you learned something? Like how do you feel about the Virgo energy overall?
Oh man, my mother is a Virgo. She is September 7th. I am October 7th. And I love my mother, but we clash. Like, unfortunately, we clash to the point, like, we're not around each other that often. We don't speak that often. So what I have experienced from, especially September female Virgos, and I'm not trying to be biased or sexist or anything of that nature. I'm solely speaking from personal experience. They drive me crazy. They really do. Their love is, I feel, is so genuine, to the point that they never want to disappoint anybody. And I can feel that in myself. So I can see that. I can see that a lot. And that's something that I'm personally working on, because I think a lot of times I put myself in not a bad situation, but put myself in situations overstretching myself for other individuals and not putting myself first. I think that's upbringing, but I also think possibly, that whole Virgo thing. Very structured when it comes to certain things, detail oriented, which you can probably see like in my creations. I love the details, and I love to mentally reconstruct like what I see and say, okay, how can I do that? I love taking from other artists, not stealing, but like taking in a sense of their creativity. Like, yo, that's amazing. How can I implement that into my work? How can I see what they did and build onto that? One of the things that I was always great at when I used to sketch all the time was being able to mimic comics or things of that nature, or drawing and mimic that But the hardest thing for me to do was to create my own at that time. Like I really struggled at making my own character. Like I could see a character and recreate it, but to do my own, I found it challenging. You know what I mean? So, you know, again, going back to that, you know, detail and structure and discipline, but trying to learn it in a structured way. Like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Okay, of course, yeah, and that's one of the things with like the rising sign. It's like it's the energy that we strive towards, and it's also the energy that we present to people that we might not even realize. Yeah. So that's why like the rising sign, there's been a debate whether the rising sign is more important than the sun sign, just because sun sign astrology gets overused. It's like on Instagram meme accounts and stuff, whereas with the rising doesn't really get talked about as much. But Charles, I will say I really appreciated everything that we've talked about, even being open to sharing your chart and your experiences. I really appreciate everything. And because I know it can be very personal and stuff, so I really appreciate it. The floor, I'm going to give you the floor for you to advertise like your business and stuff. Where can everybody check out your work and all that fun stuff?
So I am on Instagram. I'm only on Instagram at Creations by the Creator. And Creator is spelled CREATR, no O. So Creations by the Creator. I do custom work. Everything that I have to purchase is on my Instagram page. If you ever have any questions, feel free to DM me. I'm usually at Cowtown every Saturday, space 117 in the second barn. I will not be there this Saturday because Friday is my birthday and I'm turning 40. So I plan on being inebriated in a responsible way. But other than that, yeah, I'll be, I'm usually at Cowtown. I always post where I'm going to be. At the end of the month, I'll be in Tampa, Florida for a tattoo convention, which I'm really looking forward to. November, I'll be in Hamburg, PA, doing a holistic expo. Then December, I'll be in Leesport, PA, doing another holistic expo. So I'm constantly on the go. I'm trying to hit multiple locations, especially come New Year, 2023. Bro, I am trying to really elevate what I've been doing. I want to come out with a children's book. That's my next goal. I want to make sure, I have my business side all buttoned up and doing better with that, in regards to the business, the aspect of things. But yeah, man, you guys can follow me on Instagram. Feel free to ask me any questions, DM me. If you are looking to learn how to wire wrap, don't be afraid to go on YouTube. Don't be afraid to ask other people. I know everybody isn't as receptive as I am. I don't care. If you have a question, ask me. I look at everything like the bread aisle in the store. Wonder doesn't give a damn about what Jif is doing, and Italian bread doesn't give a damn about what sweet rolls are doing. And just do you. There's 7 to 8 billion people in this world. Like, bro, you have a podcast. You're not worrying about what this podcast person is doing and that podcast person is doing. It doesn't even matter if y'all talking about the same stuff. The way you deliver it, the way Josh delivers it is different than the way Sean will deliver it or how I'll deliver it. You know what I mean? So I tell everybody to do you. Like, again, love yourself. Remember to smile. Enjoy life. Be appreciative of waking up every morning. I think people really take that for granted. Like, seriously. And I'm trying not to get emotional because I'm turning 40 and this is a beautiful thing. And I had a conversation with my grandmother last week, and told her, and I meant every word of it. Like, I'm good. I'm in a great place. I'm growing as a person, and I'm just, I'm spreading love. That's all I ever cared about. I'm going to continue to do that. I appreciate you, bro, for having me. To those listening, I appreciate y'all. Again, hit me up at Creations by the Creator on Instagram. Catch me where y'all can catch me, man.
Of course, Charles, and I will say thank you for a wonderful conversation. I'll make sure to put the links on your Instagram and all the work that you do in the show descriptions. That way you guys can check out all of Charles' work and ask him questions too, because he really wants to help you at the end of the day.
Yes, sir.
But thank you, Charles. Have a wonderful day, and please stay safe.
Yes, sir.